Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Al Gore, here we are, episode 43. Technically 44 if you count episode 0, the pilot.
I do count it. So we aren't at episode 200, but one of our buddies is. So Mark LePage, episode 200, he did a review of the top 5 podcasts of 2017
for his specific podcast. In other words, the most downloaded podcasts that he did.
Yep. And I am so upset that you listen to his podcast regularly because I was going to surprise you because I was going to yours truly is on that list. And I didn't know it till this morning. He told me last week that I was on the list. And it was a Facebook Live episode that I did with him that he turned into a podcast. And I was going to ask you, what number do you think Al Gore came in at?
I know, but then I was texting you from my couch at like 7:30 this morning, sipping coffee, talking about getting ready for today's podcast. Yeah. And that's where we really talked about it. But I did not think you would make it. And here's why I didn't think you could make it. Because I thought you guys had glitchy problems. Or did it get restarted?
It got restarted.
Okay.
And then we did it again. And don't ever doubt Mark and I. How dare you, sir?
Exactly. Well, there you go. There's that level. There's that level. Level.
We'll get into the levels later.
Yes. Congratulations to Al Gore of F9 Productions. And thank you so much for Mark for helping promote our teeny tiny little podcast and what we do at Inside the Firm. We love you at the Entre Architect community. We love what you do. We love everybody. We love all the discussions we have there. It's a fantastic place. I'm sure everybody is getting tired of us pitching it, but if you haven't joined, go join. It's awesome.
Yep. And then if you haven't listened to every one of Mark's episodes, a good starter, listen to episode 200. And he talks about the top 5. And I'm telling you, I've listened to most of them, but a couple of I've missed. And I'm going to go back and listen to those ones because you can't argue with the people. It's the people's choice. It's not Mark's choice. It's the people who choose, who listen to these the most.
Who literally downloaded them the most, or AKA had the most listens, the most streams.
Exactly. Start at number 1, go to number 5. And if you like those, just subscribe to his podcast and you'll be better.
And I got to tell you, number 1 is... So the number 1 podcast, the number 1 episode that he had in his roundup was my number 1 podcast that I liked for the year that he did. And let me see if I can find it real quick. It is.
It was about developers, architects, and developers, and how to develop.
It was Entre Architect number 185, the passion, the process, and the problems of running a design / build architecture firm. It was kind of this back and forth between Jim Zach, I always say that wrong, and Declan Keefe, and it was a beautiful discussion because they talked about the difficulties and the problems, but also the successes of what it takes to do the meld that I think a lot of architects want to do, that is design build, which we're doing. But they also talked about how they inspired me to bring up to Al really this idea of franchising, which I want to touch on later in the podcast, because I am convinced that when you find quality people, you gotta start giving them ownership if you really are trying to maximize the impact that you're making in the world as a small business owner. And then everybody profits, everybody has ownership, and everybody wants to be the best. If you want to be the best, I mean, and it's so much harder to it's so much harder to replace an employee than it is to just hold on to them in a way, or it's so much harder on you.
Yes.
It's probably harder. It's probably harder for you to find that employee and keep them, but it'll be harder on you if they leave. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I've thought about this, and this year I'm really going to focus on building people, building our process, because if you're making good architecture and if you're building people, why not then expand your reach and all that. Before we go on that, I might as well, since we're on Inside the Firm, I might as well update you on our development and the thoughts that I had. So as you know, we are simultaneously providing too much and too little parking at the same time.
I tell this to all of our, now that we're quote unquote developers, I tell this to all of my other developers that we work with. I go, oh yeah, the city wants us to pay a variance for more parking that we're providing, and their heads explode. It's just every time it's a comic thing.
And what's hilarious is that the city also acknowledges that their main concern when they talk to us and the neighbors that there won't be enough parking because we're in a development where 300 units are going on, all that. So somehow
have you looked at those, by the way, those units? I wish we had
nice.
Yeah, they're really nice. We should at some point we should really we should do like a 360 drone view or something of what we're doing, and show people some more.
Are
visuals.
we buying a drone today? We can talk about that later on Texas.
I know where you're going with that.
But so Lance, I need 6 parking spots outside, and I can't get them with this back turnaround. So what I proposed to the reviewer is take our building on the west side that has the 3 units, the commercial, move it backwards so that we have the handicap space up front and then another space up front. And then instead of having a trash enclosure, I don't know why I decided to have a trash enclosure, and why don't we just do the rollaway cans that you put out? And so that's the new thing. And the only response I got from him was, submit that in your next submittal and we'll review it then. And I said nice. I said, no problem. I just wanted to know if there was something major against this before I move buildings, have every single consultant do new drawings based on new locations. And then I didn't say that last part, like that, but that's the huge deal is if we're moving buildings and doing all this stuff, can you give me some sort of response here? Like this is thousands and thousands of dollars.
Tell me / everybody then when are we going to be submitted again? Right after the first? Resubmitted?
You mean in like 2 days?
Oh God, this guy's sitting across the table from me. Something else. Something else. He's not only in a good way. In a good way. You're crushing. In 2 days? Seriously?
No one said that.
Oh, I thought you meant that.
No,
I thought you meant like.
Oh, in 2. No, I was questioning yours
like
right
a
after.
Statement to me. Well, never mind. This guy needs to pick up the slack.
Exactly. Thank you. For immediately.
But honestly, though, is that when is?
No, I can't get these consultants to call me back or email me back. And also
it's because of that giant move. They have to update theirs.
I've submitted saying, hey, guys, we need to have a meeting and get on this. And I'm getting a landscape involved. But know what? No one is responding this week because between Christmas and between New Year's, no one's responding. But anyways, I have a new layout for them anyways. So next Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to say, hey, here's a new layout. We just got to fly with it. And
roll the dice with this. Yeah, I know.
Roll the dice.
It is what it is.
And
hopefully the crown will give us the okay.
Yeah. It's going to take everyone 3 weeks to get to do. It takes everyone 3 weeks to do anything. So it's going to take at least 3 weeks. Yeah.
There you go. That's your daily update. Weekly update. Yeah. I swear that was a statement. Okay. I want to go back to podcasting. So I'm going to give you some Inside the Firm end of the year podcast. First year Inside the Firm has ever existed. Some stats.
Wow.
Some fun stats. Okay?
Please do.
So I've got my trusty SoundCloud stats up, which is cool.
How many minutes and seconds of Nick Renard have we had?
Oh, see now I'm the failure.
Yeah.
Now I need to pick up my own slack around here. Do you care to guess what our total downloads were for the year with 44 episodes?
5,000.
No, I'm gonna have you double that.
Oh, wow.
It's actually pretty impressive, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. We just did this for 1 year. We're going to do it next year.
Has it been a whole year, though?
It's been actually less than a year because our first episode came out in February.
There we go.
We don't have any January stats at all. So we have a total of 12,825 plays / downloads.
A round of applause.
Yeah, little round of applause there. If I was a good audio producer, I would do that. But I'm not, and we'll get to that later as well.
Pick up the slack. That's what this episode's called.
So if we have 43 episodes technically right now, basically that's an average of 300 listens an episode. That's pretty good. Some of my favorite podcasters started out with just that little of a number, like Ben Shapiro. Now he's like one of the number one podcasts in the world.
So would you say everyone that's listening now is on the leading edge, just like if they would have bought Bitcoin a year ago?
I was waiting for it. When is it coming?
To the moon.
When is that Bitcoin?
And then they're like, everyone, once the schools catch on, everyone catch on. They're like, oh, I was so into them before they were popular.
Yeah. This is everybody. I'm sure everyone, a lot of people who listen are. Well, if you're an adult, probably listening to this, right? So like,
sure, at least
now you get to be one of the cool kids again, who knows about the cool thing before all the other cool kids.
You guys are so
know.
cool.
So jump on that.
I agree.
What do you think our top 3 played tracks are?
Oh, wow.
Tracks. I'm not calling them tracks. Sorry, podcasts.
Episode number 1, episode with Old Man River, and then that's all I got so
False.
far.
But pilot podcast 500.
That's what I meant.
Listens.
Pilot.
Yeah. Number 2. It's hilarious. Actually, I'll just be simple. So episode 0, episode 1, episode 2. That's probably because it was our non-architecture, non-business friends who gave us a listen. But either way, we are very grateful for the listenership. And so with that, we got a tweet. That said, "Hey, for the love of God, will you please save?" It was. I'll read it to you. It was from at Verdant Design.
Start from the beginning, though. I thought it started out nice, like a compliment.
It's actually very nice. No. And honestly, we want more feedback like this.
Yeah. Especially when Lance is slacking.
Well, not only is he slacking, but I only listen to one of our episodes a quarter just to check in. And like, even when I cut them, everybody should know this, I don't listen to all the, like, I don't have time, and I don't need to hear myself again. So I kind of do a quick check to see where sound levels are at and stuff. So anyway, so we got this tweet. Al texted to me, and it said, at Inside the Firm, love the energy you bring to the show, but for the sake of our eardrums, would you please run it through the loudness normalizer? Example, fix my levels or audition to even up the highs and lows. And then the other thing I want to mention is, this is more of a tip for other people too, is when we get audio from Nick or we get audio from a guest for best and worst, it comes in, Nick's is usually pretty even, but some of the ones we get from other folks, which we're also grateful for, but it comes in hot and very leveled. So we are taking that advice, and right after we get done recording this one, I'm actually going to cut the whole thing for episode 43. And then we're going to, I'm going to go to www.fixmylevels.com. We're going to sign up. It's $5 a month or something.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And so after I cut the podcast, and then what they do is they run it through they just have a nice little computer system. Going to bring it back.
If it doesn't fix the levels, I don't know what they're doing.
So we'll put a show note in if anybody else is a podcaster and they want to try that. The other thing we're going to do, and we should have taken Mark's advice, but we're idiots because we didn't take it right away.
Yeah, I think he said this half a year ago.
Mark said this in episode 2 or 3 or something. It was the episode, I think, where we had him as a guest to do best and worst.
Yep.
And he said, get some headphones. So I ordered some. So I asked another podcaster friend who does a lot of podcasts what he would recommend for headphones, and he recommended the Sony MDR V6 studio monitor headphones with a CCAW voice coil, whatever that means. We're going to plug it into our little mixer here. So the other thing I want to do is give you a little stat is, if you are starting a podcast like this, it cost us about $1,000. When it came down to the mixers, the microphones, and now the headphones, plus the intro and the outro that we did about mid-season, and that's not including our time. So
if you want to support the podcast,
if you'd like to support
at the end of the show, there's 2 things I keep repeating.
So that said, that is Lance's big improvement for next year with the podcast is audio quality, getting it down. But the other thing is, usually I'm the person going after the guests, and I'm going to go after 3 whales next year. And I need Al's help with at least one of them. Number 1 is Daniel Liebskin.
I have tried, but I can try again, and I can keep harassing.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to keep Daniel, if you're listening, I know you are. Well, because the one of the office managers I'm still friends with and talk to a bunch. And I tried. They're just hard to. I mean, the dude's a superstar.
That's what I'm saying. He's a whale, whale of an architect.
We'll try. Maybe we'll come up with some sort of strategy. Show up at his office.
Well, what I'm thinking is we need to use some of that woo-woo through the universe here and get it going. Okay, I'm going after him, and then I'm going after Jonathan Segal.
Yes,
architect, developer, hero,
and here. I love it. And we what's great is what we talked about last week about just becoming Facebook friends, stuff like that.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say next. He's literally my Facebook friend. He's literally Mark's Facebook friend. I know he's Mark's Facebook friend because I've looked at mutual friends.
Yep.
He's yours too.
Yeah.
Right?
My name, honestly, being Al Gore, someone just contacted me, said, "Hey, I looked you up because I saw your name was Al Gore, and then I see that you're into Bitcoin," and then we started having a chat. It's
on
honestly,
Twitter?
No, this was on Facebook.
On Facebook?
So everyone that I friend, I know at least looks at it, even if they're a bigwig, because they're like, "What is this Al? Is this the real Al Gore from Colorado? Not that imposter from Vermont or wherever he's from?"
Yeah. All my political friends love it. They love that my best friend is Al Gore.
Yeah.
The third one is, and I'm also friends with this guy on Facebook, which is incredible, Antoine Predoc. I am going to get him to send in some audio.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. He does really cool work. He's done work in Colorado.
Pueblo Library is amazing. I know most people go to Pueblo a lot.
Pueblo, Colorado.
Yeah. Stop.
Is a place. Go there.
See their library. It's amazing.
It's so cool. The water feature in the inside alone just gets my goat every time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go after those 3 whales. And then the other thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to not have us miss one best and worst advice in all of next year. I'm going to try to have people banked. It's hard. Some days we would come into this to do this podcast and it would be like, what are we even going to talk about? Or like this one in particular. I woke up today and I go, shoot, I haven't even been inside the firm. Literally haven't been inside the firm.
Nope.
So here we are. So those are my goals. Those are my personal things for the podcast. Do you have any?
Yeah, show up, keep rocking it.
Yep. Even at 80%, Al's 80% right now.
I am so sick.
Little sick guy.
Yeah, I've dropped from my morning 80%. I'm down to like 50% now.
Yeah, he looks pretty bad.
So
well, then I'm gonna keep going with my energy. I've got some end of the year F9 stats for you and everybody. Can I give you some?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the same notes I am, right?
No, but I don't see no F9 stats here.
Beautiful. Good. Because I was gonna ask you some questions. Ready?
Okay.
How many total? So actually, let me give everybody a little bit of background. When
we do architecture. Awesome. We have a full-fledged architecture firm in teach.
Yeah, for like 3 weeks, all we could talk about was Bitcoin. We also do that too.
Can't wait. Before so I'm sick. I have to tell people just to warn them why I'm sick because
normally give them some advice.
I do
unsolicited.
Everyone loves it. I normally never get sick ever. Lance, you got sick this week.
If Al never gets sick, I never ever get sick.
Yeah. So it was because normally I eat salads 3 times a week.
Stupidly healthy. Stupid. So much so that every day, even our Friday when we're supposed to pick out, salad and fries. Salad and fries.
Yeah. But I would say, because I think this is healthy, other people might, I would say at least 3 of my meals are some sort of tacos or taco salads. Maybe 4 out of the week. Which somebody's
living a good life.
Yeah, I'm living a good life. But during Christmas, I substituted those tacos since there was no tacos or taco salads for Christmas. Actually, one day there was. So I still substituted a large portion, 25% of my diet with cookies and sweets. And I think that crushed me.
I guarantee that's what crushed you. Yep.
Yeah.
So here's the background. The background is at our firm we have 2 different kinds. We have 2 folders. I won't explain the whole folder structure, but when we get a new client, we put our potential client. We put their project in the future project folder because we don't know if we're going to get it yet, and we're supposed to do this. Sometimes we don't do it. Sometimes we do. Then we're supposed to move it from once we get the commission. Yep, from the futures project folder to the current projects folder. So I'm going to give you a tally of all the projects that successfully got signed into the futures projects or into the current project folder.
From just 2017
2017 alone. This isn't counting the ones that... This isn't counting the ones that, like, let's say that crossed over from 2015, 2016 that we were still working on.
Yeah.
Yep. How many total projects for the year do you think we had?
126.
Man, you are 50% low every single time. It's great. 259.
Look at that. Wow, that's almost one a day. I mean, there's 365, but still.
Yeah. But those are the
out of 3 days, we get a project 2 of those 3 days.
Exactly. That's the way to think about it. Now, do they all pay $70,000 or whatever?
Yes, we are.
Thank you for not even hesitating. It's insane, the revenue over here.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, some of them are as little as like $150, but they're drafting jobs. So like those ones are like drafting jobs.
Have you heard of the long tail?
What?
Have you heard of the long tail?
Apparently not.
So there's this idea in going marketing your website, right? And you've heard of the 80-20 principle.
Yep.
Right? And most people say, hey, I'm going to cut 20% of the projects bring 80% of the revenue.
Right.
And normally they're your first 20 biggest projects, right? So there's this whole theory in self-improvement / business advice to cut the rest. Get rid of all that rest. It's just weighing you down. It's doing all that stuff. Well, not this year, but last year, every year we review finances, and then I see, especially around when we're giving out gifts, I see how many projects we have. We have 200 and whatever, and then I see the top ones, right? And
so what he meant by that is when we're reviewing gifts, when we're reviewing total revenue brought in by a client, then we say, here's what kind of gift you get.
Yep. But what if you look at our firm? 80% of the revenue comes from not the top 20 projects. So I've always thought, and it's going back to the long tail. And what this guy is talking about when you're looking for keywords in marketing, he's like, everyone's missing this extremely long tail, right? Think about, what's that dinosaur with the big neck?
Brontosaurus.
There you go. Think about a brontosaurus head. That's where everyone's going after. These 4 or 5 huge, big projects. But there's this long tail that equals more than that. That is what we are getting.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
we've been that way from day one, volume based. And then we've preached this over and over again: is if you're gonna do it our way, which is not conventional. We do not do it conventionally. If you're going to do it, then you better have those templates honed in, and you better go over to RevitFurniture.com.
Support the podcast, support yourself. But so the reason I bring this up is because it's not counterintuitive advice, but it's real world advice that I think everyone's getting only one piece of the pie.
Well,
They're only getting one piece of the pie.
Did you jump in at that? No, I think you liked my comment. So in the Entree Architect community, there was a poll or not a poll, but just a question that Mark asked 2 or 3 days ago was, what's your goal in 2018? And I said our goal is at the firm is we're going to bill over $1 million.
Yep.
And Al and I are going to pay off all of our personal and professional debts. Massive goal, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to prepare for the next recession. Well, that sparked a different conversation. And that conversation I had with another gentleman, he goes, man, I just shudder, thinking about next recession. I'm like, yeah, but it's a reality. And he's like, well, do you have any recommendations for what to do? And I think what it boils down for me is there's a certain level of humbleness you need to have in that. Oh yeah, you want the head of the Brontosaurus that brings in whatever, X amount of dollars, and like, oh, it's the coolest houses, it's the coolest projects, but like
everything Nick Renard does.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And everything that Mitch Taylor builds.
Yes.
But if you are, at the end of the day, if you're in a recession, you got to eat. Right?
There's 100 additions and remodels for every $1 million house.
Exactly. So if you can convince yourself, and if you are really here to try to not starve during the next recession, I think that's where it's at.
But Lance, that's not my passion.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm glad I hit you with
improv. I can't even go along with it. Improv.
In T-ball, and actually past T-ball, I was such a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I threw a curveball at you. It's not your passion. And Enoch brought up a couple podcasts ago, don't follow your passion, right?
Yes. Yep.
But he was just being provocative or not. And what I think he was going at is what I'm going to focus on this year is my passion is the process, right? My passion is people, right?
Oh, you should have seen him just gushing about what we just saw literally 20 minutes ago. One of our guys had this amazing spreadsheet up.
No, and he did it in Word too, which was equally as awesome.
He's basically managing, I think, 6 houses right now for this one developer.
Yep.
And he just made this just sick checklist of like, oh, check this, do this. And I'm like, oh man, so organized.
What's cool about it is that it's so 6 houses, and we have to do all these changes to all these houses. And then all these houses need to have a left version, a right version, and this and that. And it's hard to keep track of. So he made a spreadsheet. It's like 4 pages long, and then he has little check boxes so that he can check through. And I go, put that in the resources. Once Mark gets back, we're going to open that up because he's doing 50 unit projects, stuff like that with A, B, C, D options. And we're just going to revamp that and say, hey, here's the list of 50 things we need to do for A, B, C, D unit. Here's the checklist. The structure, and that's what we try to get through with what we do. The structure frees you. Discipline frees you and helps you. So when I saw that, I was like, that's all I want to talk about. But I didn't know how to bring it up. I'm glad you brought it up. Well, it is literally one of the coolest things I've seen this whole week.
I'm
very excited.
I love it. Over the past week, one other thing that I did internally getting ready for 2018 at the firm was I sat down, and it took an hour. It took a whole hour. Maybe I think it might even took 2 hours, actually. I think it was from 9 to 11 in the morning or something. I sat down, and I went through our whole server of our current projects. And I picked out all the ones that my side and all of my guys did that are done and put them in the archive. And then I made a list for Al and said, can you go through these ones, please, before then, and do that. Just getting folders back down and organized. Huge. Ready. So that leads me into my theme for 2018 is ready to rock in 18. Okay?
Nice.
And I'm deeming it the year of management training to the point where I'm talking probably what I want to do is in quarter 3. Or quarter 2 or quarter 3 is start suggesting like, okay, Gresh, you are in charge of this project. This is I'm going to join you in the meetings. I'm going to obviously land the client. Like we're not at a sales management training yet.
Right.
But bring him in from day 1 and then say, okay, now I want you to start slowly directing, let's say Ross or another employee.
Yep.
And then passively, I want to see the red lines he's producing. I want to try to see if like, okay, are you following my lead? And it's just this, because it's always the same stuff every single time on a house that I'm always, marking up. I'm like, look at this every time. Check out this. Do this. Do this. Yep. I'm so convinced about putting guys in these management roles, and then coming out of this next recession and franchising. I'm just, you can't convince me otherwise.
I won't even try. I won't even try. So my theme is eliminating the unnecessary. So just cut out the unnecessary. And I won't expand on that, but going back to what you're doing, what I find and what I struggle with too is that it's hard to do the hard part first. And that's what I mean with spending an hour making this checklist, doing all this. And what you do is you write it all down, and then the tail end always gets juddered. Oh, did I forget this? I got to do, I got to go back to that project. Oh, I exported everything. Now I forgot all this. And if somehow you can be disciplined enough to do it right from the beginning, it will pay dividends. It'll pay dividends. And I don't know how. It depends. We've tried to do a checklist process and all that, but again, just letting our guys be free. I mean, he made one way better than what we would have done.
You got to trust the people who are doing the work and have that feedback back and forth of, okay, like it's like the group home project we talked about, I think 3 weeks ago or something like that. And I showed Jason, okay, here's where you need to get to. Here's the 2 models you have to work with. I want you to take a day and just figure out the quickest way. So we did invest that day, and it paid dividends.
Yep.
It paid, and that day was not getting much done other than what is the quickest way to get to the end result.
Yep. Also, here's inside the firm. You don't even know this because I don't even think you're on this email chain. You know how one of our new guys, I made all these training. Well, you and I think you made the majority of them, the training videos, but I organized the most important ones, told him to get it done. I go, everyone needs to be on the same page. Every ounce that you investing in your people pays back, right? So I emailed all the guys and said, I made a spreadsheet. Here are the videos that I think are important. Here's your name. If you've watched them already, like Gresh has already watched them, check it off. If you haven't, go ahead and watch it. And even one of our guys, Jason, even made one. So obviously you don't have to watch the one that you made. Now everyone is going to be at the same
so excited
level. And I said, buy the first, get it done. Just
Yeah, I didn't even know that. He didn't even copy his business partner on the email if there was one. Or that, or I just missed it. But what,
but I had a meeting in the office. You weren't here.
Oh, I just wasn't here.
Yeah, but then I sent out an email, but I just...
Whatever.
Yeah.
What's even better about that?
What?
Is then Gresh emailed me yesterday, and he goes, he picked up a project that somebody else. It was not an actual. It was like a remote worker that was working for us, not an F9 employee.
Yep.
And he goes, maybe somebody should. You should have this person watch this video because I noticed these mistakes. And I go, that's why I'm talking about, like, I'm convinced about making it the year of management training. Why not?
Yeah.
What do we have to lose? We have everything to gain.
But I think this even applies if you're just a one-man firm. Like, train yourself. Honestly, how much time and effort do you put in training yourself? And you do your AIA and all that, but you don't even need to. Honestly, you can just passively listen to this podcast, Mark's podcast, a whole bunch, take some ideas, and then start putting yourself in that role. And what you really have to do is you have to dedicate time to it. Yeah. That's what you got to do. Yeah. So every other Monday morning, every other Wednesday, whenever it is,
stick to that schedule.
Yep. Make a list somewhere. Oh, and I'll even talk about it. I actually have a great suggestion for you guys once we get to that part.
Last stat I'm going to give you, okay?
Okay.
We had a 20% increase in gross billing from 2016 to 2017. Awesome. Round of applause. Congratulations for chasing that tail, right?
Getting that tail.
Because that tail. Yeah. So our next goal, we already mentioned it, was 1 million by the end of 2018. And the biggest reason why we think we're going to be able to achieve that and do that is the design build project, which is huge. Because we're carrying all those different hats. Poor Al, can you hear him?
Yeah. I'm making it.
All right. You got something on here for, I think.
So this will be quick. It's the end of the year. If you have a profit and want to reduce your taxes, what you can do is buy equipment. So, like, we're buying equipment for this podcast. Just to let you know, I verified this computer equipment. As long as you buy it within the year and then use it, you can deduct the whole amount from your taxes. And then food. This is what we didn't even know. And I think
you deduct it from your gross income.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. We always thought when you take out a client to eat, that was fully deductible. And when you have lunch with your guys, your team, that wasn't. It's the opposite way. So, because it's called a fringe benefit. If you have a team, go ahead. Don't feel bad about buying them lunch, anything like that. It's a higher deductible than trying to pay your clients by trying to woo your clients.
I see where you're getting at.
So invest in your people.
Invest in your people.
Because your people will invest in your clients.
Yep. There you go. Are we on to Nick reads?
I don't know who Nick is. I know my best friend comes on every week and reads to me.
Sweet. I can't wait to listen.
Hello, best friends. I hope you had a great Christmas. I'm reading. Storytelling. You are a storyteller. Stories are powerful. They build understanding, commitment, and inspiration. Storytelling does not come naturally to everyone. If you plan to run your own business or assume a leadership position, you and your teammates need to become storytellers. Develop great stories. Getting your message out in the world is one thing. Doing it well is something else. I often see bright people overwhelm potential clients with industry babble. Using a multitude of technical words does not make you look smart. It makes you appear pretentious and leaves your clients dazed and confused. All right. Communication from the audience's point of view is effective storytelling. Study your clients. Try to understand them and how they view the world. If you see their viewpoint, you have a much higher chance of entering a meaningful conversation to gain insight into their problem. Then you explain how you can create value by helping them fix it. Arts principles. Al, love, serve, care. And boys, it's a little known fact, but I consider myself the first unofficial disciple of Mitch Taylor's preaching. Toodles!
Okay. So a couple things. Story. If you're interested in how to promote your firm,
thank you you're spot on, Al. Every time.
talk about story. One of the best. There's been 2 amazing books I've read this year, and one of them is called Story Brand by Donald Miller. It is absolutely awesome. I was doing website stuff this morning. Lance, you should read it.
I should read it. I'm going to take it and read it.
One
of my new goals for 2018 is a book a week.
There you
Tired
go.
of it. Tired of it.
There you go. He literally just took the book away from me, put it over there. That's awesome. Get it. It's $15. If you are ever hesitant about buying a book because you're worried about $15,
well, can you tell a one-person shop why they should read the book and how it would help them land a client?
Yeah. So you put me on the spot while I'm sick.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So honestly, why you should read the book is because everyone intuitively understands story. And what he gets at is that he's a best-selling author, right? So he breaks down what the elements of story are. So then you can put those in your head. And basically, here's the big takeaway, is that here's what a lot of people are doing wrong, is that they like to be the hero in the story. Mm-hmm. Hey, look at F9. We're the best firm ever, whatever. But he goes, that's wrong. That's wrong. He goes, your client is the hero and you are the guide, right? Mm-hmm. So think about all the heroes in a bunch of films. And a lot of times the hero is actually kind of flawed and it's dragged by the guide, right? The guide is Yoda, right? Luke Skywalker is the one that's all pissy and doesn't even know how to float things, right?
Yep.
And what you're positioning yourself is as the trusted guide because they want to be the hero. And then Donald Miller gives so much is that the book is amazing. Then he has a website that you can get through buying the book. And it literally looks like, everyone tries to upsell you when you buy a book by, hey, get our software and we'll do all this training and you'll figure out how to put it together. He just gave that for free.
It's fantastic.
It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah. From my perspective, telling a story will help you convince a client of how you are trying to help them be the hero in what they're trying to do with their house, with their new business that you're designing. If it's a tenant finish or something like that. There's a real, and Alex actually, there was another book. Is it Made to Stick?
No, I didn't. But
the other one I think that is comparable or that is a compliment to this is Made to Stick, and Alex and I both read that in college, and it really helped with us putting together quote unquote storyboards, right? Yes. And convincing the jurors that we should be the winners because our building was the hero and we helped guide it.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to reread that book this year.
It's a quick read.
But anyways, going back, never hesitate to buy a book that you feel is going to be valuable because if only one out of the 5 helps you, it's going to massively help you more than that, $15 you put in. Secondly, so Nick sent us, you haven't even seen this. The Carpenter.
I just came in to get it today.
Awesome. So I'm passing this over to Lance.
Woohoo!
And Nick, if you haven't given this to Mark, I assume he has because Mark LePage, he has Love, Share, Learn, right? And this is Love, Serve, Care. What's so cool about this, it's such a short book, but it's in it's leadership lessons, right? So most business books they have stats and
big font, big text,
big font.
You can read this easily.
Yeah. This is literally business lessons through a story.
Oh, cool.
So what's great about this is that I am retaining more information because I can picture, oh yeah, this guy was on a jog and then this happened and then he was in the hospital and then this happened. So from going from Story Brand to The Carpenter, it's awesome. So buy The Carpenter also. I'm just going on a laundry list of things.
Good. We should be affiliates for these people.
Yeah. And then last thing, right? So I talked about how making a structure for yourself too. So I bought, and I was supposed to start it at the beginning of the year, but I preempted it because it came about 3 weeks ago. It's the Full Focus Planner, right? So remember when we were talking and there was some best and worst advice, and it was talking about how basically the OODA loop is that you need to write things down for yourself. So you are now a checklist God now. Mm-hmm. And then even how looking at what you did wrong or what you did right so you can either reinforce that or eliminate that can help you. Check out Full Focus Planner. It's by Michael Hyatt. It's so cool because it just puts in everything that I was doing in separate programs. So I had my checklist, I had a calendar, and then I had my planner that was saying, hey, what went wrong and what didn't. It even has a weekly after action review.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you're talking like Army language from back in the day.
Yeah.
And then what you want to focus on. And then what's cool about this too is that it has a place for notes. So where did I put my notes for the carpenter? Just
beautiful.
Right in here. And I wrote down a whole bunch of quotes that I liked. And one is what's great about these books is that it reinforces some concepts that you either want to go for or not. And one of ours is always be simple. And he says simple is powerful. And we always say be simple and profound. And then here, let me give you two more here if I can flip the pages. Make a difference to one person at one moment at a time. You have to be the mission. And then here's this. The greatest marketing strategy of all is to do something great for someone else. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if you do something great for someone else, they're going to tell, like they're going to be your referrals. They're going to be your champions and all that. So those are if you're in the buying books, and know what, if you buy them right now, maybe you can even write them off.
There you go.
So
put them in your library.
Get those three.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, thanks again, Nick. We hope you have a happy new year, and we will see you in episode 44 next year.
And guess who's up next? It's Mitch Taylor, who Nick just alluded to, because Nick is a Padawan learner of Mitch Taylor.
Mitch Taylor is a friend of Nicholas Renard and myself, actually, on Facebook. I'm not sure if he's Facebook friends with Al, but he will be. Oh, he already is. Look at that.
Because he made a joke, so I liked him.
Exactly.
We're friends.
He's hilarious. And ArchiCAD super user, and owns and operates 3 Wise Men design build. He has no website and only works for architects. So without further ado, here is Mitch Taylor with our best and worst advice for this week.
Gentlemen, it's snowing in Florida. And what that means is it's 55 degrees and raining. It's very cold here. We are freezing. Except for Nick. Nick is sending me pictures from the northern tundra where it's snowing. I think he prefers that over Florida. So on to the advice. I guess the worst advice that I've ever been given is when I was in the manufacturing business, the ready-mix business and block making business, I was told that I should take over basically sectors of the state. And I tried that, and I worked from dark to dark. That's the only time I got to see my house was when it was dark. It was very bad advice because when you grow rapidly, you have problems. You will develop lots of problems, and even though you think you can solve them, while you're spending all of your time putting out fires, new fires are developing because you are growing too fast. Rapid growth can and will bury a company if you're not careful. So don't ever use that bad advice. Don't grow your business too fast. Only do what you can control and keep profitable and keep your sanity. On to the good advice. My father always told me, son, never go in debt for anyone or anything. Now I can tell you a time of when I was in the ready-mix business. I had about a $5 million loan for equipment and such on my company. And on the 10th of the month, the bank would take out their principal and interest payment, and they would just swipe it right out of your account, about $60,000. And that's enough to make you want to go back to bed. So never be in debt if you can. And if you can get out of debt, I would start with your mortgage. Being debt-free as power. It also gives you sanity. Some of my best friends are CEOs of some of the banks that we all do business with, and all of them tell me the same thing. Debt is bad. Now, they're bankers, and of course, they want to loan you money. They don't want to loan you money when you really need that money. They only want to loan it to you when you don't need that money. So if bankers are telling me that debt is bad, that's probably some good advice. I can tell you when the recession comes, the one that Lance keeps telling everyone that's coming, when it gets here, when you're debt free, you are in fact a superpower. You will be able to wake up in the morning and not wonder how you're going to make ends meet because you're debt free. You can go do what you need to do to feed your family. So, in all of your ventures, don't overgrow those ventures too fast, and don't sink your company with debt. That's my advice for you. Take care, guys. Have a happy new year. And by the way, you guys have the best podcast on the podcast universe. Take care.
That was everything I hoped for and more. I feel like we have our own John Wayne now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's awesome. I thought that was so cool. Did you know that he was going to talk about debt, everything?
No. I never. We've said this before. We try to keep it a surprise, and what's beautiful about the surprises every time is that they always seem to tie back in to what we're saying.
Yeah.
So that quote is something to live by. Being debt free is power, and superpower. Yeah. And I don't think I don't take it in a negative way and like, oh, I'm all powerful people. No. It's personal power. It's personal to wake up and not be overly burdened every day and all of that stuff. I just remember being in debt. This is why I preach so much about this dang recession or whenever it happens again, and trying to get yourself out of debt and get poised and be ready and be comfortable again is because I was in debt up to my ears because I had kids and medical issues and stuff like that, and then got laid off in the last recession. And it was like 3 or 4 years of just so much stress. It's just not even worth it.
Yeah. I thought that was so cool. And I thought that end part, he energized me with my,
oh man, me too. I am pumped up now.
Yeah. I'm ready to go. The first part that he talked about, growing too fast. And I try to think, I think that's such great advice, but then you look at these huge people like Facebook.
Google,
I know
when they do these massive hirings, right?
1,000 people, they just
thousands.
In a couple years they grow from 50 to 2,000, and I go, how do they do it? And maybe tech's different, right? But how I'm trying to do it is that I know now, and it took me last year to know this, is that every project I have, I need to have one of my guys also on it too. I don't have the capacity to take on a full project and run it through by myself because I'm managing these other things. So, okay, I have a project, I'll be the lead, or one of them will be the lead and I'll just be the manager, right? And then I have a list of each of my guys and how many projects they have. So then I can see okay, if they have too many projects, I either know I need to push that client off or it's time to hire. So if you do find yourself in a position of growing fast, I think growing fast is fine, but remember that you are in a people business. Your clients are a person, who's doing it is a person, and you need to assign projects to people. And that's how you can comfortably grow fast. If you're trying to expand your territories while also putting out fires and adding new clients, and those 3 tasks, one person, it's not going to work out, just like he said.
Exactly.
So match people with your projects.
And that's how you. And the other thing, and I don't. Mitch didn't even talk about this. But I could sense maybe that there was this feeling that he had. So he'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here. But is that don't do things that you. If it isn't your idea, I don't know if you pursue it. So I think I mentioned this like a couple weeks ago on the podcast that I got approached to do this kind of political campaign, and I was like, it's not my idea. I have no passion behind it. So I'm not going to pursue it. And because I know I'll just fall short because I don't have the gusto to do it.
Yep. Back to the full focus planner right here. They have a quote for every day. Listen to today's. Every yes must be defended by 1,000 no's. Jeff Walker. I don't even know who Jeff is, but thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks again, Mitch. That was fantastic. Seriously.
Yeah.
Being debt free is superpower.
Cool.
Love that. I'm gonna call that. That's the name of the episode. End of story. End of story.
And
end of the year. Okay. Last thing here, and then we'll sign off for the year. We'll see you guys in 2018.
Yep. I'm going to preempt while Lance is getting ready. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so through a couple ways. The two most important ways for us, for helping us out, but I really think it helps you out, is get our book, The Creativity Code. It will help you structure your design and your design thinking so that you can make better projects. And who doesn't want to do that? I think it's $15. So we make about $1 on it. So that will help. And then also, if you are getting into Revit, if you're on the Entree Architect community, and I'm not going to call this person out, but he did you see that detail? Yeah. And he was, I don't even remember the question, but all I wanted to say, but I didn't want to be mean, was you are too young to be using AutoCAD. What are you doing?
Yes.
If you are transitioning to Revit, go to revitfurniture.com and get our training, get our tutorials. Honestly, they are the best out there. If you don't think so,
they are unequivocally the best. And we say that not because we're salesmen, but because we teach for a living as well. And we have proven through almost 5 years of teaching at CU, the book sucks. The way we've put it together is good.
Right. Not the creativity code. Teaching by the book sucks.
Yes.
Because it's videos, it's templates, it's files, and it's basically the rocket to launch you in Revit.
You got it. Cool. With that, Al, this is the last for Al's continued streak, 2017's code questions. He is the reigning champion of the world.
You can't see me, but I am stretching. I am cracking all my muscles.
Back, everything. Blow your nose, etc.
I just might need to.
Okay. We are in chapter 5 of the IRC, moving from chapter 4. R502 bearing. Okay, this whole chapter has to do with floors. Okay. The ends of each joist, beam, or girder shall not have less than how many inches of bearing on wood or metal?
That's a question. I'm going to say 2 inches.
So I'll give you the multiple choice just so everybody can play along. A, 1 inch. B, 1.5 inches. C, 2 inches. D, 3 inches. So basically, think about it this way. Okay, if you have a big joist.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're gonna bear it on a first floor wall. Okay.
Yep.
So you're framing the second floor. How many inches does it have to be bearing on that plate?
I shout
minimum.
I said 2. Obviously, we never go to that minimum because we just bear it on the whole wall.
Yep.
But for some reason, I want to say 1.5 inch because that's a stud. It's
correct.
A stud. There we go.
1.5, and I think it's because you could turn it flat and then pack it out.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So you could have full bearing.
Because then you strap the pack together and it loads transfer.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The second part of the question is, okay, the ends of each joist, beam, or girder shall not have less than how many inches of bearing on masonry or concrete, except where supported by a 1x4 ribbon strip and nailed on the or the adjacent stud by the use of a proof girder. A, 1 inches. That's so ARE question. A, 1 inches. B, 1.5 inches. C, 2 inches. D, 3 inches.
1.5 just to follow the logic.
3 inches.
More on concrete?
I don't know why. I have no idea why.
Would you have guessed that?
No, I would have actually guessed the opposite. I would have guessed first 3 inches and then 1.5 inches. Because, concrete and masonry, they're load bearing. I mean, they're compressive,
That's
they're
interesting.
They're good in compression.
That's good to know because I wouldn't have guessed that. Because they're talking about sometimes you can do, if you have an 2x8 wall, sometimes you cut out if you're going to drop the joist.
Yeah.
And you cut out 2 inches, but then you turn a ledger right there. I just can't believe that it'd be more on concrete than wood.
Yep. I don't know.
If anyone knows,
Tweet at us.
Before we go, I want to say thank you to everyone that listens. Honestly, we do it for you guys. We do it for you guys. We also have a bunch of fun doing it. Thanks to Mark. Mark has been awesome. Paige.
Everybody's been awesome. Enoch's been awesome. Thanks for being on the show. Nick, thanks for being a routine guest and creating this awesome character. It's the best from the bestie. Yeah. Thanks to all the guests. You guys are great. And then also huge thanks to the feedback we get, specifically this week at Verdance Design Group on Twitter. If those guys listen to this episode, please give me feedback on. Tweet at Al. He'll tweet it at me. It doesn't matter.
Well, inside the firm.
Yeah, tweet it inside the firm. I'm sorry. And then let me know if the audio is fixed on this one or if it's more evened out all the way through. We are more than happy to try to put out the best content we can.
We'd love for you to connect with us. You can do it on Twitter on Inside the Firm. You can go to our website, insidethefirmpodcast.com. Find us on Facebook, same thing. F9 Productions, you can Google that. You can find us. Everyone, we wish you the best for next year.
Crush it.